Phenomenal morning, guys. You are now tuned in to the $1 billion Breakfast with the Brand. We are locked in, live, and loaded. So we have a phenomenal guest, phenomenal lineup, phenomenal topics for you today. If you guys are on LinkedIn, phenomenal morning. YouTube, phenomenal morning. Twitter, phenomenal morning. Yvette Bolden on YouTube, phenomenal morning. Twitter, we are live everywhere across channels. Jill Bennett on IG, Janae Mackey, Katie, and Rennie on LinkedIn Voice, guys. So I'm jumping on, starting this off. As you know, that's usually not what happens. We usually have Junior Frederick open up. However, Junior Frederick is preoccupied right now with the phenomenal situation that you'll be finding out about later. Okay? So I'm going to let him introduce his phenomenal news on his own. I don't want to steal any smoke from the room or steal any pizzazz. That's not the brand, right? We're going to let him do his own phenomenal announcement for everybody. Listen, we have a phenomenal lineup today. We're talking about branding, personal branding, professional branding, executive branding, and how to go from 5 figures to 6 figures, 6 figures to 7 figures, maybe 7 figures to 8 figures. How to go from entrepreneurial to entrepreneurial, entrepreneurial to entrepreneurial. How to go from local to global. How about that? Different mindset, local to global. What does it mean to get outside of your district? What does it mean to get outside of your zip code? What does it mean to get outside of your tax bracket? What does that look like? Listen, what we do here is we help people turn their yearly income monthly, their monthly income weekly, and their weekly income daily. We have another phenomenal guest today who's going to be able to speak to that a little bit, as well as disruptive innovation, all in the context of branding. So I want you to just get locked in. If you ain't got your coffee, get your coffee. If you don't have your pen, get your pen. And I'm going to bring in our phenomenal guest this morning, Mr. Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson, how you doing, sir?
Absolutely extraordinary. It's a phenomenal morning. How are you, Mr. Shaan Rais?
Very well, very well. Is your volume low? Let me see if your volume is a little bit low. Go ahead, speak again.
Good morning, phenomenal morning.
Okay, very good. A little bit better. Let me put LinkedIn over here, right, guys? This. When you say disruptive innovation, that's exactly what this is, right?
Absolutely.
I was telling the people on LinkedIn Voice. I said we are doing all of these things from multiple phones, right? So we got the console, we got the main console, but we also have multiple phones. When people say, Shaan, what can I start with? I don't really have the means. I laugh, Bobby, because I try to remind him. I said, I started my business in the basement of a job that I despised with a BlackBerry. In a basement. I had cinder blocks behind me. It looked like prison. I started my business in what looked like a prison. It was the basement of a job that I despised, and it was a BlackBerry, the old BlackBerry too. You know, BlackBerry with the button in the middle? Yeah. The BlackBerry with the button in the middle, guys. So listen, you have what it takes. You have what it means. Really, this is why we teach brand you and not what you do. All you really need to do is bring yourself to the foray. How you doing this morning, Bobby?
I'm doing extraordinary. It's been an extraordinary week. Kicking the morning off right with Breakfast with the Brand, or this is $1 billion Breakfast with the Brand. So
yes.
It's a lot of branding going on all of the days of the week. It's incredible. So I'm happy to be here.
Very good, very good. We have Garcia Gaither on IG, Happy Mev on IG, Jill Bennett, Lionel, Rennie, Katie on LinkedIn Voice. Shade is on, I think that's YouTube. Listen, guys, we are everywhere right now. I want you to know that you can be omnipresent with just your presence alone. Just your presence alone, you can be seen and heard everywhere and have the impact, income, and independence that you desire. It's really as simple as making a decision to become the or a brand. When you brand you and not what you do, you immediately begin to draw the resources towards you to do what you need to do to go to the next level, whether that looks like 6 figures to 7 figures, 5 figures to 6 figures, extra time, extra freedom, extra impact, impacting your community, impacting your organization. The key to being the solution to the problem that you desire to solve all begins with your brand. And we'll be right back. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile. He's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. All right. See, guys, listen, I'll be honest with you. Like, back here by myself, this is super organic. As you can tell, there's nothing scripted at all. So for my people on IG, for my people on LinkedIn Voice, everybody was just looking at a blank screen for a second. Listen, that's what happens when it's organic. It's organic. Nothing is scripted. Nothing is taped, right? Super organic. This is what we do. You do not need a 12-man team to be what Bobby called omnipresent, right? So he hit me on the back end and was like, talk about omnipresence, right? This is what we do, and this is where we are. And I was just telling people, because when the commercials was playing, I went silent on the back end, and I was telling everybody on LinkedIn Voice and on IG that you don't need $1 million to get started. You don't need a 100-man team to get started, right? And that was the kind of point that we did before we went to the break. I started the business in the basement of a job with a BlackBerry. All I did was get up an hour earlier and get to the job an hour earlier and go to the basement and put my little camera up on. It's so funny because I remember the first microphone I got for the camera. And I can remember when I went from the BlackBerry to the Android and from the Android to the iPhone. It's a progression. You start where you are with what you have. Bobby, talk to me about branding. Talk to me about what your experience has been with branding and the importance of it, the impact of it, and how it's able to drive value and attract eyes to you.
Absolutely. Branding is one of those things every business must take seriously. That's one of the things that I'm realizing. And in the business development stage of your company, a lot of startups are probably watching this right now, trying to figure out how to brand themselves. My personal journey was one where I tried to build a business without a brand. And I want to talk to you guys about the negative effects of that so that you can just, save yourself some money, save yourself some time, right? So here are some of the negative effects of trying to build a business without a brand. You become what economists call price takers instead of price makers. So a price taker is someone that is forced to accept the prices paid by the market because you have no equity to leverage in demanding higher prices. Your brand is not just your logo and what you look like or what your company stands for. It is an equity component. So in accounting, you have these thing called assets, liabilities, and equity. Brand equity, ladies and gentlemen, is huge. It is with the brand equity that our firm was able to increase our prices to live out the mantra from make your daily income boom, boom, boom. We were able to do all of those things by having a solid brand. So the second piece that I'll hit on before I turn it back over to Shaan is the price setter, the price maker part. So if I'm in a market and I'm taking the price that the market gives me, that means I'm worth $1,000 a month. I'm taking $200 a month because that's what the market is willing to pay. But the moment you establish your brand, the moment you build equity in your brand and you become disruptive with your brand is the moment you say, I'll put it the way my coach puts it, the moment you become the OVO. See, when you become the OVO, the only viable option in the market with your brand, see, your brand is what makes this possible. You can't be the OVO if no one knows who you are. Like you cannot be the only viable option if no one knows you're an option. So becoming that brand makes you an option. Becoming the only viable option means you went through branded like a leader, speaking like a leader, coaching like a leader, and you started to transform your brand. So to end that, I became a price setter or a price maker the moment I took my expertise, my education, and my experience. I turned that into a face. This face you're looking at right now, you are the brand. I became the brand, and then I started turning my work, my sweat equity into brand equity. And I said, if you want to do business with me, I'm gonna need the 2K, the 3K, the 5K. I need what I need because I am who I am. And ladies and gentlemen, you are who you are.
Wow, yo, that's so powerful, right? So I want to translate this over into the entrepreneur, right? Because most people think, branding is for entrepreneurs. We're speaking to entrepreneurs or CEOs talking about branding their organization, but that's not the case, right? That's not the case. We've had multiple employees come in and not really feel like leaving the organization. They love the organization. They love the people that they serve. They love the people that they work with. However, they would like to make more money. However, they would like to have more impact. However, they would like to have more independence. So we have helped five-figure business, five-figure entrepreneurs inside of organizations go to six, and then multiple six. And we've had people who were at multiple six go to multiple six. So when I say multiple six, I mean $250,000 inside of an organization as an employee. And people are like, what does that even look like? Shaan, what does that even look like? Well, actually, it looks like a beginning of a lucrative career. It doesn't look like a plateau. It doesn't look like 20-year career. It looks like the beginning of a lucrative career because you can easily, as well as do $250,000. The same way a person is making $40,000, a person can make $400,000 in an organization. Now watch this. Position yourself the right way. Person can make $4 million inside of an organization. As a formal employee of an organization, it is possible. It is a reality. I can remember learning under Jack Welch at the Jack Welch Management Institute years and years ago in Strayer University. And he was talking about how he began to dispatch former interns, people who came in with no money and education, but no experience. And he put them through. See, GE was one of those first think tanks for leadership. You got to study, guys. You gotta study this stuff. So GE, General Electric, was one of those think tanks for leadership in the very beginning, in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, around the time of the Hawthorne experiment. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Hawthorne experiment, but the Hawthorne experiment was talking about the lights and the different conditions within the organization to augment and amplify performance. Performance, that's my industrial and organizational psychological background, and organizational development background. So give me a moment when I go into one of those alleys, right? So from there, Jack Welch said, okay, if we change the conditions, we change the performance. If we change the conditions, we change the performance. So he began what was formerly known as a leadership think tank, where they groomed and developed their own workforce. You got to remember, this is why he was called the CEO of the century. He multiplied the organization's profits by 400%. 400%, and they were already $1 billion company. So what he did though was when we were talking is what he said to me. He said, Shaan, he said, I've taken interns and watched them come up through the intern process into a frontline, forward-facing, client-facing role, groomed them for 2 or 3 years there, moved them into a junior management position and then into a management position. And then they did executive performance and they did executive coaching then. And he said, we would put them with some coaches that would groom them for overseas distribution. And then we would take a guy who might be 35, came in at 24 or 28, take him at 35 after grooming him and put him in the charge of Taiwan, our Taiwan leg. We would build a leg. You don't understand. Like, people come from a network marketing background and they have legs and stuff. And he was talking to me about legs in the 70s. And he said we would build a leg in Taiwan, and we would groom someone, executively coach them for performance, and put them over there to do what? To build an extension of the brand. And this is me 10 years ago and change. And I'm like, whoo, the brand. So I was like, how did they become an extension of the brand? He said, Shaan, first they had to be the brand in themselves. I said, whoo. He said they had to have the components and the beliefs and the characteristics of the company integrated into their presence. So when they left us, when they left the umbrella and they went to build the leg, they would represent the home company. They would represent the brand here. So let me tell you guys what this looks like, right? This looks like me realizing, okay, Junior's not going to be able to make it about a half hour before the call, before we go live, about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, cool. He's not going to be able to make it. Immediately, I think, who can, who's qualified, who's up right now? Because a lot of people are sleeping, right? Who's up, who's awake, who's ready, who's a part of the brand, who carries the brand with them? I said, let me see what Bobby's doing. Hit Bobby real quick. Bobby respond real quick. Team meeting until 7:15. I said, okay, check it out. Make it 7 o'clock and we gonna go live. No problem, coach. I'll be right there. And here we are. So that's why you're being introduced to Bobby Jackson this morning. And that's why, if you're the brand and you're inside of the organization, if you do the right thing and you position yourself the right way and you meet the right people and you don't stop and you don't quit, if you stay invested, people will see your tenacity. They'll see your performance. They'll see your dedication. They'll see your work ethic. And it will transcend the limitations of your current salary. It will transcend the limitations of your current situation. You don't understand. Branding it's so huge. It's so huge. So Shade is talking about change the dynamics, right? We change the dynamics. That's worth the price set. That's what it is. We change the dynamics, and that's worth the price set. The more people see you, the more people know you, the more places you can go. The places you can go with your brand, guys, put it in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. If you are motivated at all, inspired at all, if you believe that you're worth more than you make right now, all you have to do, I say it all the time, I say add a 0 to the number. But before you can, this is the problem too, Bobby. People get overzealous, they get anxious, and they don't understand the process, right? Mm-hmm. Coaching is a future-focused, goal and action-oriented process. And when Jack Welch did the GE piece, he was talking. Now, a lot of the Fortune 500 CEOs that we know right now went through that process back then. Yeah, they went through that process 30 years ago to groom them to be where they are now. They didn't fast forward the process. You can't fast forward the process, guys. This is something I wrote about in the 7 prerequisites to success, and I gave the example of a caterpillar. I said when a caterpillar puts itself up on a tree and it becomes one of those cicadas, right? One of those husks and cocoons, you can't fast forward the process and rip it out to become a butterfly because you want to see the butterfly fly. As a matter of fact, if you try to fast forward the process, you'll kill the caterpillar in his transformational process. So you don't want to try to fast forward the process and, go from 40,000 to 400,000 without going through 100,000 first. You've got to grow yourself through a process. And through that process, you become better, you become smarter, you become faster, you become more branded, you become more authentic, you become more comfortable, you become more confident. Now, just talk a little bit to your experience personally and professionally, and let's see if that correlates. What was your experience? What say ye, Bobby Jackson?
I would say my experience. Are you getting the echo?
You're fine. Don't worry about that.
I would say that my experience was one where I was overthinking a lot of things. So when I needed to build the brand, I was thinking that I needed to understand what the brand was without understanding that it's a process. So I think my experience was get in the room so you can learn what you need to know in order to move. That I think was instrumental because so many times we can be on the outside looking in, thinking that we're seeing clearly enough to move forward, but we're only getting pieces. We're only getting pieces. And for a long time, I was getting pieces. I was following him on the alien call. It was a 4 a.m. alien call. And a part of my process was, is he who he says he is? Let me see. I'm going to follow him for a little while. And sure enough, he was there and he was on time and he was consistent and he was branded. And I was like, this gentleman is the real deal. And it was at that point that I joined the room, that I got in the Zoom, that I was a part of the environment. So when Coach was talking about the cocoon, I felt that, like the leadership leverage, which is a program now, but at the time I was branded like a leader. What I realized, and this will be short-winded, but what I realized was I came in the community and I was growing. Anybody that's ever gone to the gym knows that you don't see the results as quickly as the other people around you see them because you're the one doing all the work. So all you feel is pain and sweat. So that was me, pain and sweat. And then I got to a point where I'm like, man, I'm just not growing fast enough. I'm investing all this money. I'm not growing. I'm out. Guys, when I tell you that you do not know how powerful soil is until you're a good seed cast among thistles. Rocks.
Hold on. Now, see, that's one of those moments. See that guys, you got to have the access to learn yourself, and it takes someone outside of yourself to read the rapper for you. So I'm gonna read the rapper for Bobby Jackson right now. That was fire. What did you say? Could you say that again, sir?
You do not know how important good soil is until you are good seed cast among thistles.
I think we're gonna go to a break on that one. I just want everybody to just think about that real quick, and we'll be right back. Give that the space that it needs to breathe, and just wonder if you're a good seed or not, and if you're in good soil or among thistles. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is You are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
All right. So we turned IG around, right? I wanted IG to go ahead and get a chance to see the commercials, see Mr. Bobby Jackson. You know, I keep pronouncing his full name, you know, just so you guys are aware why I do it. Why does he keep saying Jackson? Why does he keep saying Bobby Jackson? Why do you just call him Bobby, right? So that's the brand, guys. I'm doing it for name recognition. I wanted to lock into the SEO, right? I wanted to lock into the SEO so the algorithm can pick it up, right? So just to give you a glimpse of the mindset and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I try to break it down for you guys and unpack it as I do it so you can understand it. And to bring it home for my people on LinkedIn Voice, we're talking about branding, but I want you to understand that you are the brand. You are the brand. The ing is the verb. So the ing is the action. The brand is the who, what, where. The ing is the action. So when you shake someone's hand, you're branding. When you say hello to someone, you're branding. When you wake up in the morning and you dress yourself, you're branding. You're bringing the brand to life. You're creating or curating what's going to be seen. You're creating what's going to be seen. And it's very important that you curate it in the most masterful, most elegant, most excellent way possible. So we talk about branding, positioning, and then marketing. BPMs. We think about the heartbeat. They talk about the BPMs, the beats per minute. As a business, your beats per minute is your brand, your positioning, and your marketing. Just want to break this down and unpack it a little bit for my people on LinkedIn Voice and LinkedIn Live, right? You're as an entrepreneur, your marketing material is your resume, is your professional website, is your, we call it business media, but your more commonly referred to as social media. The way to go from 5 figures to 6 figures, 6 figures to 7 figures, 7 figures to 8 figures is to start being serious about your business. The business on the back of the brand, the ing piece, the branding. So go ahead, Bobby. I just wanted to give that disclaimer real quick. Go back to talk a little bit about the good seed amongst the thistles. What did that feel like? What was that experience?
Man, it was cold. It was cold, coach. They didn't make coats thick enough. Out there by yourself. And I think it was colder because the environment that I left was so warm. It was so warm. It was so engaging. I had 2 kids, guys, while I was in the brand. So imagine being stressed out. So I was a United States Marine. I was in college. I was building a business. I was a father, and I had kids coming. Like, not kids here. I had kids here and kids coming, right? And in the brand, I was able to, weather those storms a little bit better because I had a team. I had accountability. I had people that wanted to see me win as much as I wanted to win. I had the coach showing up every day, giving me no excuse not to be there, like no excuse not to show up. So I think it was real cold when I left for the moment that I left because I did not know. I didn't know what I had. I was the prodigal son. I was at the table. I was eating good. And then I left for a moment. And it took me being gone outside of that environment to realize that the brand, you know, for me personally, this might not go for everyone, but for me personally, the brand is not just about who you are, but who you associate with. That's why I'm so tied. I'm telling you, I'm tied like a lung to Coach Shaan Rais, because I believe genuinely in who he is and what his brand is. And I believe that who I am and what my brand is better because of my association with him. And I think that that's something that all entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, you know, can understand when it comes to networking, is like, who are you associated with? So that was my experience, and my process was like just being a part, not being a part, and realizing that it's so much better to be a part. It's so much better to be a part.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that, brother. I greatly appreciate that. You know, sometimes things come out that you don't have a conversation about, right? When you're doing the organic piece, right? So we haven't really had that conversation. I greatly appreciate that. And one of the things that I think about at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, while I'm on the treadmill, is being the example, right? Being the example, because nobody else is there, guys. Nobody else is there. You know, I don't have a workout squad. I don't need a workout squad, but I don't have a workout squad. And the reason why I don't have it, I learned this very young. I learned this so young. Don't depend on others to show up. Don't depend on others to show. Don't tie your success to anyone else's. Because I would have a workout partner when I was younger, and something would happen, and they would say, "Oh, always 10 minutes in advance, right? Always 10 minutes in advance, or 10 minutes after they're supposed to show up." They're like, "Oh, Sean, this happened," or oh, this happened, or "Oh, my alarm clock didn't go off." And because of that, because you're dependent upon them, your workout is thrown off now. Your motivation, your inspiration, your aspiration is thrown off, and your frustration kicks in, right? Your contempt. You're like, "Oh man, why should I even?" You know what I mean? You might have, you know, you got plans, and you're like, we gonna do this, and we gonna do that," and it's like, nah. Okay, so I got to depend on me. I got to make sure that I'm there, and I can't put my success on anyone else's presence. So what I'm saying to you guys right now is, you're responsible for your own success, guys. You're responsible for the choices that you make. You're responsible for the choices that you make, and like Bobby said, you're responsible for the company that you keep. And if the company that you're keeping isn't showing up, if they're not elevating you, if they're not pushing you, if they're not stretching you, if they're not challenging you. See, I needed kind of workout partners that would put 225 on my chest when I could only bench 185. And crush me under it. Barely lift it up off of me. So I could feel all that, get all that smoke and feel all that pain. So I want you to think about your business, your branding, your positioning. Who's stretching you? Who's stretching you? To what degree are you being stretched right now? Because you will only grow to the capacity in which you're being challenged. You will only grow to the capacity in which you're being challenged. So what does that look like? Are you putting yourself in the pressure cooker? So what I had to do, Bobby, is I had to do this. I had to hire a strength and conditioning coach. That's what I had to do. I had to pay someone to be there, because friends don't show up for friends for free for too long.
Yeah.
When it's inconvenient, they're not getting paid for it, so they give up. And it's not about them giving up on you. They give up on themselves. And it's not about being personal, because it's not. It's professional. This man has a wife. This man has children. I have a wife. I have children. I'm still at the gym. I can't hold them accountable to who I am or how I show up. So if you want to grow, if you want those wheels, right? I'm talking about thigh talk, you know, in the gym piece. If you want those wheels, then you gotta hire someone who's going to show up the right way consistently, and you got to align yourself with them. You got to hook your plane up to their plane, and that's what I did. I consistently hooked my plane up to bigger planes, guys. And I didn't care what it costed, because I wanted them to be there on time, ready, set up. You know, a beautiful thing, Bobby, when you do this the right way, it's all set up for you. When you do this the right way, it's all set up for you. So now, instead of coming to the gym and fighting for the rack, or fighting for the squat rack, or the bench, or whatever the case may be, I would come and everything would be set up. Everything would be set up for me. And it was understood where I was coming. The juice was there, the water was there, the towels were there, they were warm, the bench was there, the weight was already on the thing. I'm like, huh. I said, this is all I had to do the whole time? I said, let's go. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah.
And this is what I learned from a very young age. You have to hire up. If you want to go higher up, you want to hire up. If you're in an organization that's not promoting your growth and development, hire up. Listen, I'll tell you a story real quick before we go to the next break. I can remember when my pay grade it seemed to have plateaued. So I was a very fast climber. I went from 25 to 32 to 45 to 65, and then it kind of capped around 65, 70. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm sending out the resume, and it's like getting bounce backs and ping pongs. I'm getting offers, but I'm getting offers around the same pay grade. And then, a couple $1,000. Taxes are going to take that anyway, so there's no reason to move. I'm not getting the incentive. Mm-hmm. And then it dawned on me, boom, I'm using the same resume. I'm using the same resume and the same cover letter. I haven't updated my brand yet. Now I've gone through about 4 phones. I want you to hear me clearly. I have leveled up brands outside of myself. How many phones have you been through in the last 3 years? What have you leveled up internally, though? The brand that you are. Oh, they coming out with the new iPhone, guys. You got it yet? You lined up for it when they drop it? Oh, I'm going to the new concert. Did you see so-and-so at the Super Bowl? They're charging $5,000 for the ticket. Oh, it doesn't make a difference. I'm there. I'm here. I'm there. All of the external brands that you support and you invest in. How much are you investing into the brand that you are? How are you hiring up so that you can move higher up? So a lot of people say, I'm in the organization and nobody's paying me any attention, Shaan. I say, well, okay, I understand. The question is, are you paying them? Everybody's in the organization to get a check. Nobody does anything for free. Well, very few. We're doing this for free because that's the kind of brand that I am. But let me tell you this. This is a double-edged sword. I'm giving you access to my brand and my thinking in hopes that you'll receive it and say, wow, if Shaan can help me that much in an hour, imagine what it would be like if I spent a year with him. Imagine what it would look like. Bobby Jackson was on. He said that, he came in as he was employed. What were you, a staff sergeant?
I was staff sergeant in the Marine Corps.
Okay, staff sergeant, when he came in, he was a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps. He didn't have his own business. His wife had a job. Now he's retired from the military. His wife is retired from the workforce, and they had 6 figures. What's going on over there?
Life is good. We're looking at cars right now.
It's like a leadership factory over there. What's going on? And it's a success factory over there. What's going on? So I want you to understand that there is some self-interest, even in what's free. Oh, come on. You will be served through service. You will be served through service. So the question really is, if you don't like where you are, the question is, who are you serving? Who are you serving? Who are you helping? How are you? You're thinking all the time about how other people can help you. How can they help me? How can I get this person to help me? They don't notice me. Maybe because they don't feel like you notice them. And maybe someone doesn't want to serve you because you're not in the business of serving them and making their life easier. You want to be promoted? Make your boss work less. Make him seem more intelligent. Help him to promote his brand, and he'll help you promote yours. By default, it only makes common sense. It makes common sense. Bobby is good for business. He's been successful. He's taken what we've got and he's worked it and he's proven that it works. So why would I bring on someone who's disgruntled, cantankerous, and not growing? Why would I do that instead of bringing on one of those star pupils, 5-star pupils who pays homage to the brand that he has become through the brand that he grew through? That only it's old. Write this word down, guys. Write this word down when it comes to your brand. It's mutualism. It's mutualism. Brand equity. Let's talk about brand equality. Everybody wants somebody to do something for them, but I want you to think, what are you doing for the... Listen, I've only grown through mentorship, scholarship. I'm in college now. Now, they did just bless me, right? I'll be honest, like I'm super appreciative. I pay homage to the brands that make me the brand that I am. So I went through multiple different colleges, multiple different degrees, and working towards the dissertation and the Ed D, they turned around and said, you've done so much work, we're going to confer upon you the master's degree. I said, what? But I go to a very expensive school. But when I saw the check, I promise you, when I saw the check, I said, you can't be serious. I said, you cannot possibly be serious about this number. They were serious. They were serious. And because I hired up, I've hired up. I've gone higher up. I never intended to have a master's degree in education. It wasn't on my plan. It wasn't in my plans. But because I hired up, that's a default success. Write that down. Default success. What are default successes? Bobby never knew he'd be on Breakfast with the Brand as much as he has, especially not this morning. That's a default success. That's a default success. It's a default opportunity because he's put himself in the right space and he's positioned himself there and he's let it be known. I'm appreciative. He says it on his own. I watch what everybody does. How are you promoted? So people always want their names to be said in rooms that their feet have not graced. Everybody wants their names to be spoken in places that their feet have not graced. Well, I'm going to give you a hack for that before we go to the next break. I'm going to give you a hack. Whose names are you saying in places that their feet have not graced? Whose names are you saying in places that their feet have not graced? Don't look for what they can do for you. What did John F. Kennedy say? Don't say what you can do for your country. Don't say what your country can do for you. Think about what you can do for your country. So don't think about what other people's brands can do for you. Think about what you can do for other people's brands. And the rest will take care of itself.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Shaan Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile. He's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line what I could sell. Why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes.
So before we left, guys, I said, don't think about what other brands can do for you and think about what you can do for the brands that you work with and that you're aligned with. I want to give a shout out real quick. Garcia Gaither is on IG. D. Bell Campbell is on IG. Happy Mev, Jill Bennett. We also have LinkedIn Voice. LinkedIn Voice has Katie, Jordan, Lionel, and about 3 more. I know it's that time, right? It's that witching hour where a lot of people are turning into their jobs, and they have to get off the chat, which is very fine, beautiful, no problems whatsoever. And we have Shade Arnetta Rogers. Phenomenal morning to you, Arnetta. We're here talking about branding, building your business, Yvette Bold, and anybody else, just put in where you're listening in from. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those, and we'll be sure to answer them within this last 10-minute segment. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I hope you've learned a lot. I guarantee you, this is one thing that I guarantee. If you implement what we teach here, the principles are evidence-based. That was the first thing I wanted to do before I ever went live or ever did anything for anyone at all. I said, I'm going to put $250,000 of knowledge in my head. And I succeeded at doing that. And now we're probably somewhere around the million, right? Just when it comes to knowledge in my head and when it comes to like the countless hours of time. So let me tell you how you compress time and how you turn decades into days. The way you turn decades into days is by managing your moments until you master your minutes. Manage your moments until you master your minutes. So I was talking a moment ago about when I'm on the treadmill, but when I'm on the treadmill, I'm listening, I'm learning. I'm listening to something. I'm not just dazed out, phased out, thinking about how I'm running or where I'm running to, or listening to the sound of the instructor's voice while I run. I'm also learning at the same time. So I'm training my brain while I'm training my body. So I'm able to get 2 hours of physical exercise at the same time I'm getting 2 hours of mental stimulation. And I'm learning something valuable, always. You always want to compound. It's called compound interest. Think about how you can compound the different elements of your growth and development, your learning. And always try to do more before 7 o'clock in the morning than most people will do throughout the rest of their day. If you accomplish that, you'll be able to do 5 years of work in one, or at least 3 years of work in one, which means you'll have 15 years of progress in 5. You unpack that a little bit, you'll see how we were able to do the numbers that we did in the amazing amount of time that we did. That's branding. Remember, the branding is who you are. Bobby, how has your experience been this morning?
My experience has been amazing. When you said try to do more by 7 a.m. than most people do in a day, that's really how I feel right now. That's really how I feel right now. And this morning has been so inspiring. It's inspiring because I feel I think a lot of the viewers feel, I feel like I'm empowered. And I think empowerment is very important as an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur, because power is how things move. You know, if without power, things are like stagnant. And this morning, as we talked about branding yourself, branding your business, growing, being in good soil, being disruptive, being aware of yourself and others, like I felt powerful. And the more powerful I felt, the more I realized that the power was coming from inside. You know, this was deeper for me. This was very spiritual for me this morning. And as I looked at the comment sections and I saw the engagement and I looked at how you engage the people, it was almost like you took a story with every point. Like you didn't have a point without a story. You didn't have a story without a point. And when you did that, it just really brought me into the experience. So I would say this morning was empowering. I feel like once I get off this call, it'll be what, 8 o'clock, and I've been up since boom, 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 and then I was on a call, boom, 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 and now I feel like, let me run through a wall somewhere. Let me go find a wall to run through real quick.
Let me go find a wall to run through. I love it. I love it. So listen, guys, one thing Bobby said, I want you to understand that I am a proponent of what I teach. I learned from Les Brown, phenomenal speaker, legend, master mentor, and just a phenomenal soul. Never tell a story without making a point, and never make a point without telling a story. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, Bobby, because that means that I'm a good student. That means that I'm a good student. That means that I listen well. But one of the things that I do a little bit more than listen is I execute on what I heard. I'm a fast implementer. I make a lot of mistakes, right? People have a problem with failure. If you have a problem with failure, if you have a failure problem, you have a success problem. If you have an avarice to failure, then you have a serious predisposition never to be successful. I fail fast. I'm a phenomenal, some would say that I'm a phenomenal success, but the truth is I'm a phenomenal success. If you see me as a phenomenal success, it's because I've been a phenomenal failure. I do a lot. Like if you see one initiative that works, there were 10 that you never heard about. There were 10 that never made it to the light of day. Right? It is what it is. But I'm showing you something. I'm giving you an alchemy. The fear of failure is akin to the fear of success because it is through failures that we find successes. We have Tuesday, Katie, Jordan, and Lionel on LinkedIn Voice. Welcome. We have D. Campbell, Garcia Gaither, Happy Mev, Jill Bennett on IG, and Shade is definitely contributing in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. We have Arnetta Rogers, Phenomenal Morning on Facebook. Yvette Bolden, just from being here and making yourself known, I'm going to help you to become known. That's service. And I believe in servant leadership. So I'm living the brand as I move. And you can't be afraid to fail, because if you don't fail, you're not going to learn how to succeed. Just imagine a child. If a child is learning to walk and it falls down and it says, you know what? I'm not going to fail anymore. Forget it. Forget this walking stuff, man. I keep failing. I keep falling. I'm not doing it no more. Said no child ever. About speaking. They're trying to make words come alive. They're trying to say the same thing. They're trying to say, give me something to drink. But they can't say, give me something to drink. When they think, give me something to drink, it comes out like, wah, wah. They're like, what's going on? I mean, I keep trying to say, give me something to drink, but no child just says, forget this speaking stuff. Forget these words and stuff. I'm not gonna try anymore. I'm a failure. I'm not gonna speak anymore. How do you think you become successful? You need to learn the art of failure to learn the science of success. Failure is an art. It's not about doing it. It's about the spirit in which you do it. See, I fail gracefully. I fail and say, thank you. I'm appreciative. I say the prayer for the failure because I'm proud, and I'm proud, and I am exalted through failure, through massive failure, through fast failure. I succeed with speed. Through fast failure, I succeed with speed. And so will you. So stop being scary. Let that be the tone of this show. Stop being scary. Stop being afraid. What you afraid of? No one can judge you but you and your creator. And from what I heard last, your creator is inside of you. So as you express yourself, your expressions become more relevant. As you take more attempts, you learn faster. Every failure is not going to be successful, but every failure is going to get you closer to the success that you desire. You can listen to this, guys. It's fear of failure that keeps you from success because you can never be hired for the job that you never applied to. You could never be hired at the job you never sent the application to or sent the resume to or had the interview for. A lot of you are not making numbers because you can't say the number. You only had $10,000 because you can't say 100. You only have $40,000 because you can't say 80. Because you feel like it might not work. Well, what if it does? What if it does? Before you add a zero to the number, you got to add a zero to you. And that's the faith piece. Faith makes for good failure. That's what gives you failure with grace. If you don't have faith that the next time you get it, you'll achieve it, you're resentful and you're bitter. And you fail with hostility and a lack of grace. So you don't learn from it. And that's where success comes from. Success doesn't come from failure in and of itself. Success comes from failure with grace, humility, and learning. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and we will be talking about coaching. See, we have a brand plan for you guys, and you don't even know it, right? You're not even aware of it. But let me let you know before we go to a break. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you guys know what we've got in store for you. So Mondays, we talk about branding. Tuesdays, we talk about coaching. Wednesday, we talk about speaking. Thursday, we talk about marketing. And Friday, we talk about sales. Sales. So personal branding on Mondays, executive coaching on Tuesdays, professional speaking on Wednesdays, transformational marketing on Thursdays, and high ticket sales on Fridays to close out your week with some really, really high numbers. Guys, go ahead, Bobby. What are your last words for the people on LinkedIn, Voice, IG, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook in multiple different places? And we're also on LinkedIn in multiple different places. Guys, thank you for staying with us. We greatly appreciate your presence. But go ahead, Bobby. What are your last words here?
My last words would be the failing fast and learning how to fail properly is huge. It's huge. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about the community, that as you're going through the things and you're learning different things, in the Marine Corps, we had these things called break falls. And really quickly, a break fall is when you learn a technique, because we have martial arts in the Marine Corps. And I went all the way up to Brown. I stopped at Black. I didn't like getting the concussions and the headaches, right? But I went up to Brown. Right? And in MCMAT, military or Marine Corps martial arts, what you learn how to do is fall properly. And the reason you learn to fall properly, because there's no way to master this technique without learning how to take the technique. And if you cannot receive the technique, you cannot deliver the technique. And we have this thing called fittings. And a fitting is where you practice the execution of the technique, but you stop before execution. So we will go boom, 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 and I stop in midair. So that's about a 75 to 80% breakdown. Now, what's really important about this is you need an instructor to teach you how to do the fitting.
Ooh.
Like you can see it. You can see all these people who bow, smoke, the dust flying up, all this stuff is happening. You're like, I could do that. I could do that. But really, you can't do it. Because when go there, like if you go to throw that punch and you don't know to flip your hips, you don't know to turn your ankle out, you don't know how to transition the momentum, you will not throw that punch properly. And the last thing I'll say, I think might be transformative for those that can get this, is we would be disciplined, chastised even, if we said the word moves instead of techniques. If we said, teach me how to do that move, coach, instead of teach me how to do that technique, we find our face in the dirt. Why? Because this is not a move. This is not something you saw on TV. This is not something you just said, oh, let me show me how to do that move. I want to be the Karate Kid. No, they taught us from day one, this is a technique. There is a system. There is a discipline. And the moment you call this a move, you have forgotten that this is a technique and you need to be reminded. So I highly encourage everyone to take it as seriously as possible when you think about failure, because there is an art to failure, as Coach Shaan Rais has broken down for us. And that's something that I take with me from a decade of experience in the Marine Corps and a brown belt in Marine Corps martial arts.
Let's go. Let's go. Thank you so much, guys. Everybody that's not on the screen, you can't see it, right? So IG, I'm going to shift you around so you can't see it. And LinkedIn Voice, we put a link up, livedeepdive.com. Right. So livedeepdive.com. There's nothing to buy. There's nothing to purchase. I want to help you before I sell you. Right. That's my thing. I want to serve. I want to serve, and then get whatever you feel like I deserve. That's my thing. Right. So the livedeepdive.com is a place where you can come register for a free call on Saturday. That's right. A free call on Saturday. Who does that anymore? Right. But a free call where I'm going to be present. So it won't be, underlings. It won't be staff. It will be it will be me. It'll be me. And we'll be able to interact. You guys ask me any questions that you have, because I know there's some power differentials and some technological differences when we're on StreamYard as opposed to when we're on Zoom or LinkedIn Voice. You'll be able to see me. You'll be able to speak to me. You'll be able to ask me any questions that you have, because I truly, truly, truly want you to succeed. Because I think phenomenal leaders who lead is what we need. Let's grow. I'll see you tomorrow. Same brand time, same brand place.